pull the winning 50-50 ticket. It's kind of part of what we do when there's a downtime. We pull it right before the main, and we bring a kid out, and we pull the ticket. There was 2 tickets this weekend. One was given a TV, one was given money. We chose to do it when we did because there was a red flag on the track, because there was a street stock incident early in the race with a certain driver that was running about mid-pack. He was running good. And I'm not going to say any names because it's not who we're talking about, what everybody's thinking about. A young driver coming up, and he's good, has gotten into a tangle. While we're trying to pull the 50-50 ticket out, Extreme is over there separating the cars and making sure everything's good, like you guys do. It's protocol.
Mm-hmm.
I have a lady walk up to me. This was an extended red. You know what I'm talking about?
Yes, I do.
It was an extended red, Dom.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know what was taking so long with you guys as far as whether the cars were hooked together or if somebody was stuck. I don't know what was going on. But while we're trying to pull the ticket, this lady walks up, gets in my face, and says, "Hey, thanks for letting us know so-and-so was all right. Way to go, guys. We really appreciate it." First and foremost, if I know the driver is all right, or if you guys know, it's one of the first things we do.
Absolutely.
We make the fans comfortable knowing that driver is okay. Number two on that whole deal. We had got on the radio and called down to Extreme. You guys were working extremely hard down there. There was a lot going on. I don't know what the whole deal was. Did not get an answer. I can't tell. You can't tell somebody something you don't know. This is the one thing this weekend that really, I don't take things personal when I'm at work. That thing right there just about got to me. It was one of those deals where I just want to say, you know what? If I knew that driver was okay, you would know. I can't tell you something I don't. And you know what I'm talking about.
Oh, I do. It was the first time for me walking through the crowd doing the 50-50, things like that. And when she did that, I was quite irritated myself. And I'm like, wow, this is a lot that I have to prepare for.
I know Dom's first night helping out probably wasn't the best night, you know.
Well, and that's the thing, too, Corey. And you bring up something that, we've talked about as Moxie, with everybody going up into the booths. It's one thing that I've talked with you and Warren, and I haven't had the privilege to talk to Dom about.
We understand how to communicate with each other on the radio.
Is our procedures with Extreme
right.
and how things go. And it's one thing that, I don't think the fans understand. I kind of want to bring a little clarity to, is that when we do go red, and we have an extended red like we did this last weekend, we have a protocol we have to follow.
And we know that.
And it's not because it's how it is how it is because of the medical licenses that some of our members have.
And you have a procedure to go through to make sure those drivers are safe.
Exactly. We're not like other tracks. We have EMTs on staff. As soon as an EMT, paramedic,
right,
EMT intermediate, EMR, any of those guys show up on scene, they have nationally recognized protocols that have to be followed.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we have to do because of our training, our licensing. We have to follow those protocols, which can take time. And that's one thing.
Well, and here's the thing.
You understand.
Right.
And we have to take that time. Now, one thing we saw this weekend in this extended red, and I want to put everybody at ease because it's come out a couple of times, is we have a blanket that comes out of the truck.
Mm-hmm.
That blanket is not a bad blanket. That's the good blanket.
I know. People assume somebody's dead and you're covering them up. I mean,
no,
that's,
exactly. That's not how we roll. The blanket is simply there for us, so we have a staging area for all of our stuff to keep it clean, and B, to keep track of everything.
Right.
So it's a certain color. It comes out. It goes right on the ground. Any piece of equipment that we use goes on that. I mean, if we've got to start pulling certain pieces of equipment out, that's what that's there for. I know, and I want to apologize to the fans for not making sure that they knew that.
That's not your fault. But you're doing your. You don't ever apologize to anybody for doing your job. Here's the thing. I know you heard me. You were on the radio minutes into the red, which obviously wasn't anything major. It wasn't anything major. Seriously, minutes into the red, we let you guys do your job. Mm-hmm. We watch. We see what's going on. We'll talk about what's going on during the race. Whatever we do as announcers. After a certain while, when I think things are slowing down, things are coming around, I did grab the radio. Extreme, this is Corey in the tower. Driver's all right? And didn't get an answer. Okay? That tells me you guys are working. I'm not going to bother you again. I've asked. I know you guys have heard it. When you can answer the question, you'll answer it. I can give the information to the crowd. Okay, that didn't happen. And one person decides to just lay into me. And it was just like, are you serious? I mean, that bothered me.
Yeah, that was quite unbelievable to me. Like I say, I was like, what am I getting into? These people are, I mean, I could not believe, and I understand, you're going to have situations where there is a big question mark. But if there's a problem, I'm sure they would have known.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. There would have been more than just extreme there. There would have been an ambulance and fire trucks, and we've seen it. If it's something serious, we know.
That's what I'm trying to say.
Fairly quickly.
Yeah.
And, at that point, there's more communication going on. If we're going to be on a really long extended red, there's going to be communication between Extreme and Jeremy because, of course, with Willamette Speedway, we do have a curfew that we have to meet. And at that point, depending on what the situation is we're dealing with, we need to communicate with Jeremy so he knows how to proceed with the rest of the races.
Sure.
At that point, and we saw a good example of that earlier in the season when we had a long extended red.
Right. But the other thing too was it wasn't just a fan. It was somebody who's part of a race team that knows racing, that has been around racing. If you could look and see that, truly, if you've been around racing long enough, it wasn't a big deal. And we do our best. Anyway, rant over. I'm glad that I had my mic behind my back and turned off when that happened because I nearly said something. It was just one of those deals where I was like, you know what, enough's enough. After what we've seen this weekend, crazy.
It would have been our luck she pulled the 50-50.
No kidding. No kidding. So, Dom, again, let's go back to your first night. Your first night in the tower with Moxie, looking down the races and calling the action and kind of getting a feel for what's going on. What are your thoughts? What are your observations?
Oh, I absolutely loved it. I didn't know exactly how far to talk, how much to talk. I was sharing it with Warren, of course. Mm-hmm. And once I understood, okay, you're welcome to say what you want at what time, things got a lot easier.
Right.
And I got a little more comfortable. I'm sure the next time it's going to be a lot easier.
Yeah.
But the first night I was doing a lot of observation, just listening to how it works, trying to make everything mesh, so everything sounded correct. It was just so much fun. I really enjoyed myself.
Yeah, it was a good time. It was a good time.
It normally takes you about a half hour or a couple races before you get the feel and you're like, okay.
Yeah.
Now I know how this dynamic's going to roll tonight.
Yeah.
And even, varies night to night.
My first night announcing was, oh my God. It was working with Ben Deathridge. Okay.
Uh-huh.
Ben and I decided, we're going to do the Willamette Speedway season together. And he'd been announcing at that point, 5-6 years, something like that. And they called me in to work with him. And I had never announced a race before. The day before, I was at the dentist getting my wisdom teeth pulled. No. I came in, my face is swollen, my wisdom teeth were pulled, and I did the best I could. I did the best I could to – I had – So let me tell you something. Tylenol wasn't working.
Your initiation was Corey the Chipmunk.
No, it was worse than that. First of all, my mouth hurts like heck. I'm bleeding from the removal. My heart is pounding like I'm getting ready to go out in a main, and I've got a Vicodin in me. Or a Oxycontin, whatever I had to do something to get the pain because you talk so much, and it was.
I bet you talked a lot more after that.
It took a couple races for that pain to go away. It was the first 2 races. After that, I got in the mix a little bit better. But man, it was horrible. It was a bad combination. It was just bad timing. It is what it is. But here we are 6 years later, and Moxie has grown leaps and bounds, and we're having a good time at all the racetracks we go to, and that we'll be going to before this is over this year. We're still heading to the Bud Nationals in October to Bakersfield. What's Mike saying here?
No, Mikey's just being Mikey.
That's what I like about Mike Patterson, our California correspondent. He says, just remember we as announcers are the first layer of communication to the fans. Stay positive. You guys do a great job. I understand that part, but when you've been around the game long enough and you understand how certain things are, I think you should have known better.
And that's the thing, too, is you got to love Mike because when we get a little off of center, Mike's right there with Mr. Positivity. I love Mike.
Yeah, he's a good dude.
I wish that guy lived up here.
I do, too.
We could work all these shows together.
Could you imagine? That's a dangerous crew, getting him in the mix with Warren and Dom and you and I. And we might get kicked out of racetracks.
I don't know if you could fit 5 of us in the booth.
Yeah, no kidding. Oh, gosh. So this weekend, we saw some great racing.
We did. It was there was some great racing this weekend. Side by side action, clean racing. Guys just excelling.
We saw
behind the wheel.
Oh yeah, I mean, and the track was fast. We saw particular drivers have career highs. We saw guys have career lows. We saw one driver take one of his biggest victories ever.
Yeah.
In a borrowed car, and then get in his own car and lose an engine. I mean, it was. It was from one end of the spectrum to the other on the emotional scale for that dude, and I feel for him because in the late model,
he did not lose the engine.
Well, that's good, but
the engine is fine.
It is. I mean, you talk about the definition of checkers or wreckers, and that's who you're talking about. I mean, the 111 car, Joey Tanner, has been either up or down, and it sucks for him and it sucks for his fans because that car is so BA fast. And Joey is so talented behind the wheel. Him and Jeremy Shank were putting on a show. They had checked out. They had about a straightaway lead, and they were putting on an awesome show. When it was an oil line, I heard there was a whole bunch of oil that came out of that oil line for Joey Tanner, and he got her shut off. I mean, he did say that. I think he got her shut off in time and coasted kind of back to the exit. But just feel for the guy, man. You feel for him because you hate. I mean, it's one thing to be consistent.
Well, and he drew his best pills ever that night.
Yeah.
He drew a 1.
Yeah,
he drew the pole in the late models when he's been getting 7s, 8s.
That's the thing with the 111 too. I mean, I think he's got 4 wins at Willamette, or 4 wins this year.
I can't.
Something like he's got a lot of wins. But the thing about it is, if there's 8 cars in the redraw, and 5 cars have drawn already, and the 8 is still there, he'll draw it. If there's 8 numbers there and he gets the first pick, he'll pull an 8. I mean, we had 12 cars in the redraw earlier this year, and he says, I'm going to let a little kid pull for me.
He pulled like what, 13?
Pulled pretty much, pulled to 12. His luck has just been, it's been great or garbage.
Yeah, see, every time I pull a 93, and then when I go for a redraw, I always draw the 4.
Yeah.
I just have bad luck.
It's been a crazy year for Joey Tanner and that crew, and just got a feel for the guy. I think we're gonna see him move on down to California to the Nationals. Well, he'll follow us down there, or we'll follow him and the crew, and we're gonna be down there doing that show. It'll be fun to watch him there. A little bit of business to handle up here still, but the season is winding down, and I think that's part of what. I think that is part of what influenced this last weekend so much.
Mm-hmm.
The season's winding down. There was a lot of tension. There was,
let's just hit it head on. Let's start on Saturday.
Let's go to Saturday, and we'll go through the deal, and then we'll address everything day by day.
I mean, we got to do it in order, otherwise we're gonna.
Well, let's start with results. We'll talk about that. We'll move into. Is that okay? Night 1.
Night 1. Where do you want to start with street stocks?
Yeah, let's start with our slower classes and move up.
So we had, the precursor to the Iron Giant on Saturday night. We had a lot of street stocks show up and say, "Hey, let's run. Let's go have some fun." So we actually had a B main in street stocks.
But not everybody ran.
They
saved their equipment. There was some smart guys.
We had a B main in late models too that night.
Yeah.
When was the last time you saw a B main in late models at Willamette Speedway?
About 6 years. It's been a long time.
But it was great to see. Car count, the car count's coming back up, but the street stock B main had quite a few cars in it. 15 cars, I think. 17 cars.
There was more than 15.
17 cars in a B main.
It was wild. It was good racing. When we got to see a driver in that race turn their luck around, get things clicking, and start. It's been one of those deals where she just could not find luck in a 4-leaf clover.
No,
pop tires, engine issues, rotors. I mean, everything has gone wrong has gone wrong. It's been a Murphy's Law for her. She started in the B main and won it. She transferred to the feature Little Mackenzie Lockhart did a fantastic job of driving this weekend.
That's a driver behind the wheel.